It's come to my attention that anime has become a festering, fetid wasteland. Inane isekai garbage with RPG elements for God knows what reason, generic middling shonen, bad CGI everywhere, moe waifu bait, insert hobby here anime, light novel adaptation, remakes, and sequels nobody asked for. But there is something worse than all of those, something that signals the destruction of the Japanese culture as we know it, the infestation of the globo homo multiculti cult in anime. Now, Japan's culture has always had some level of perversion. Homosexuality was pretty much codified in the Tokugawa era, and their creation myth involves incest, which explains all the incest themes in anime. But Japanese values are more or less conservative and staunchly anti-foreign, despite much Western influence, but the greater agenda has been peeking its way into mainstream media. BL, or boys love, or yaoi content, has been around in the anime manga culture for decades, but it was always in the background, neither was it easily accessible. But now we have multiple films and TV shows airing right now. The progenitors of this, in my opinion, were Black Butler and Gravitation. Black Butler's themes and content weren't overtly gay, but it definitely skirted the edge, and there was enough degenerate content in that series that it more than made up for it. And both of these gained a lot of mainstream success. Now we have anime films like Umibi no Stranger, where the main character, Mio, reconciles his feelings for another gay teen. Now on to the trans agenda. Now more often than not, trans or cross-dressing characters are played for a laugh in most anime. But it seems like they want to legitimize this delusion with characters like the male-to-female Lily Hoshikawa from Zombieland Saga. As an aside, I had recently went to an anime con pre-COVID, and I saw a significant amount of pro-trans merch. And what was most startling is that there was a Hatsune Miku cosplayer waving a sign that said trans rights or human rights. Now, I hadn't been to a con in like 7 years, and it just kind of baffles me how the anime community has become like this. I mean, there was always some level of degeneracy and weirdos, but now we're essentially on par with furries. And speaking of filth, there's the overt, or really covert race mixing agenda in anime. Oftentimes characters from Okinawa or Kansai are depicted with dark skin, but now there are instances of overt miscegenation. Take into account Pedro from A Silent Voice. He's the husband of the protagonist's sister. He looks ambiguously brown and I would assume Brazilian, but his inclusion in the film is kind of jarring and strange. He's kind of a joke character, but his inclusion of him and his half-breed daughter seemed to be kind of an engineered way to encourage a pro-foreigner sentiment. And might I add, it really was very strange to see him in the film. It was like it just took you out of it. You have a film full of all Japanese characters, and then this guy just comes up out of the basement. It's just, out of the attic. It's just weird. And what's funny about it is that, the daughter, she may be cute, but when she gets older, they'll call her a hafu, just like that Japanese or hafu Japanese tennis player. And just to mention, Japan has already had problems with brown brothers from Nigeria scamming and hassling Japanese citizens. It's obvious that as a West-adjacent nation, Japan was a prime target of the cultural engineers. Recent BLM protests in a country with next to no blacks, or the calls to diversify the workforce due to an aging population and shrinking labor pool. To be honest, I'm just tired of seeing obvious cultural Marxism in my anime. But I wonder, will this multifaceted assault on Japan breed a hard right-wing movement?